Good morning. You're joining Pan and I today on our morning walk here in Derbyshire, and it's actually not raining for the first time in days. It's lovely to come out and have a little bit of sunshine for our morning walk. If you're new here, hi, my name is Nick. I live in this old forge workers cottage in Derbyshire, and I share snippets of my country life and adventures and the things I do and things I get up to in the cottage. Today we're walking through what we call the Forge Woods, and it's called the Forge Woods because this actually was the old forge where they mined for iron, and my cottage is made from the leftover product when they're smelting the iron down. So this is the ground that built my house, which is lovely. Today, once we get back from this walk, I have decided that I'm going to start making sourdough. I know that sounds very grand and ambitious. I have actually tried making sourdough before. When I was doing my PhD a few years ago, we had this joke that if you started making bread, then it was a clear sign that you were having your second year mental breakdown, which we all went through. In my second year, started making sourdough. I don't know what that says about my level of mental breakdown, but I certainly didn't manage to maintain it for any length of time. Gave up on sourdough years ago. But now I'm free from that stress, I thought I might try again. And what's really triggered it is I found out that a few miles away from here there is a authentic windmill that still does its own stone ground flour. So I'm going to try and make sourdough with Derbyshire grown stone ground flour. Do you want to join me?
So the windmill that I'm going to get my flour from is this beauty. It's called Heage Windmill, and it was built in 1797 and then restored in 2002, which I learned on the tour. So you had a bit of a background of the known history of the windmill, and then they take you inside the windmill and you get to see the whole process from grain being lifted to the top of the windmill and then working its way down, being ground and being sifted and sorted and bagged up. And it's just, I really highly recommend going on this tour if you're in the area, because the volunteers that run the place have done such a great job. They're all clearly really enthusiastic, and they've got some really great artefacts that you can look at and a great view of Derbyshire from out the top of the windmill. Does make you feel a little bit travel sick if you're anything like me now, with the sort of swaying and the motion of the mill, but highly recommend it. And then treat yourself to a visit to their little shop on site and get yourself some flour and some other treats.
Okay, I've got my flour. It was actually really cool at the windmill because they showed you how they make the different grades of flour, and they sell 4 different grades of flour from their little shop. They have the wholemeal flour, which is all of the grain just ground up and you just get it all mixed together. Then they have a white flour, which is only the finest bits of the flour sifted out, so it has none of the bran. Then they have something called middlings, which has got some of the finer bits of bran in there with the white flour. Then they have a fine bran, which is what it says on the tin, and then they have bran itself. So I've picked up a bag of their wholemeal flour, which I'm going to use for my sourdough starter, and a bag of bran. I don't really know what I've got this for. I'm going to have to think of some recipes. Maybe I'll make some muffins with bran and blueberries or something. I don't know. I bought this because you can't buy it in the shop and I thought it was cool. So now I have a bag of bran. If you have any great ideas about how I can use 750 grams of bran, I am all ears. This fern is very in my way. So I'm going to use, like I said, I'm going to use my wholemeal flour for this sourdough starter. I am not a sourdough expert by any means, so I am doing this along with you, but I understand that a sourdough starter is used in a bread recipe in place of yeast because you are cultivating the wild yeast that comes on the flour, and that's why you want to be using wholemeal flour or spelt flour or basically not ultra processed white flour, because you've got more chance of developing wild yeast that way. So I've got this strong wholemeal flour, For the starter, you just need a clean jar and you put equal parts flour and filtered tepid water in there and mix it together. Hello, Bandit. Come on. You're a lovely cat, but can you go away? So I'm going to do a small amount because you mix equal parts of the flour and water in your jar on the first day, and then every day after that you add a little bit more equal parts flour and water, so you don't want to be adding a huge amount. I'm going to do 3 of these spoons worth of each today, and then every subsequent day I'm going to add just 1 teaspoon of flour and 1 teaspoon, well, it's not a teaspoon, I don't know what this is, tablespoon of water. Okay, so my flour first. This is my whole milk. It's so nice that it comes in just brown paper bags. It's got brown tape. It feels very old-timey and authentic and lovely. And it's lovely that this is grown and milled less than 10 miles from here. Okay, 1, 2, 3. That's probably too much. I don't know. Okay. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to do a little bit more because I think my flour was heaped spoons. So we just now give this a mix. I have an actual dough whisk, but I think that might be overkill for this situation, so I'm just going to use my spoon. Give it a good mix together. And it's a little bit sort of dry and doughy at the moment. Can you see that? But basically I'm going to clean the edges of my jar a little bit so I don't get any really dried out bits. And I'm going to leave that for a day, and then tomorrow I'm going to feed it equal parts flour and water again. And theoretically, if I do that for a week, I should start seeing some bubbles appearing in the dough, and that is a sign that I have my yeast and it's fermenting and I can use it. So I will let you know if that works. Let me cover this up. Greaseproof paper. Greaseproof paper and an elastic band. And that is my sourdough. I'm excited.
I hope you've enjoyed this weekend trip to the windmill with me. Please do like and subscribe to this channel, and I will catch you next week. Bye!